Hey up everyone. First, I want to give a big shout out not only to my loyal subscribers who have stuck with me through thick and thin, but to all riders and pillions everywhere. Whatever you ride, together we make the world a more exciting place. Whatever our differences, we are all universally bikers after all. I thank everyone for all the support you've given me, and I do feel truly blessed with the fantastic community of subscribers who have helped build the channel into what it is. Today, I'm going to look at 5 of the many amazing motorcycles that get forgotten too easily. Some were maybe overshadowed by their bigger brothers, while others were ahead of their time or just underappreciated. They all offered something special, and are all now in that grey area between being worthless old junk and highly collectible. Most importantly, they were all truly great motorcycles in their own way. Going back to the original format, I will start from the more obvious choices and work towards the one I think you might be more surprised by. If you enjoy the video and haven't already subscribed, hitting the like button and clicking the subscribe button costs nothing and helps the channel a lot, and it means, in theory at least, that you get to find out first when our latest videos are released each week. But do remember to check back. YouTube isn't always the kindest to us, and the channel is often hidden and people have even been unsubscribed. Sometimes even my replies get blocked too, but I do try and reply to everyone in time. I link other interesting videos made by real bikers in the community tab on the main channel page too, so it's always worth keeping an eye out to see what's on there. And to be clear, the videos are just my opinions, nothing more and nothing less. Anyway, let's get on with it. First today, we have the trusty old BMW F650 GS Dakar. It was a mainstay of the BMW range from 2000 to 2007. The Rotax 650 single was a great old engine, and the Dakar styling and off-road ergonomics made it a great bike for anything. It was fun in the twisties, great for green lanes, gave a commanding riding position in the city, and was even at home on highway rides. It replaced the earlier Thundercat as the entry model into the BMW range, and it was a cheap bike when it was first made, especially for a BMW. No, it didn't have the power and kudos of its bigger brothers, but it was a great bike. It was a lot easier to pick up when it inevitably tipped over in the mud too. Compared to the likes of the KLR 650 and DR650, it was positively refined, but it did still retain that big single character. This was much more of a mile-munching thumper than the others. Although not fast, it would handle highways with ease, but it was the back roads that were its home turf. It began to lure newly training riders into the BMW brand, but it also lured a few of the old faithful GS owners away from their bigger bikes too. It made more gnarly green lanes more passable for the average rider. They weren't an enduro bike, but they were far easier to lug through the mud than any of the bigger GS's. The single-cylinder GS is one of those bikes that, although basic, does what it does very well. As such, it's built up quite a loyal fan base worldwide. It might not set your world on fire, but it will do everything you ask of it, and it makes for a great hack for winter or summer. It is easily serviced at home too, saving you a big lump of cash on bills. It may be old and a bit dated, but so am I, and just like me, it's happy to just plod along all day and get on with the task at hand. Now everyone thinks of the R6 when they think of a fast Yamaha 600, but in between the FZR 600 and the R6 came the fantastic Yamaha YZF600 Thundercat. The Thundercat was built before the R6, and despite what you may see and hear, was certainly not just a detuned version of the R6. It came first, remember. It was the stepping stone between the FZR 600 and the R6. The FZR was a stunning bike, but it was a very focused sports bike. Honda had had incredible success with the CBR600, which I talk about in the Bargain Bikes of the 90s video linked above, and Yamaha decided to make the FZR platform a little more user-friendly. The tech from the race bikes was trickling down, and the chassis was the next generation of the already successful Delta Box frame, and the engine, well, the FZR engine had been gradually pushed up from 90 horsepower until it reached almost 99 horsepower in the final models. But the Thundercat broke the 100 horsepower barrier, at least on paper. How much of that extra power was created in the marketing department is a different question. But the engine was a peach, producing as much power as any of the competition. The Yamaha had a trick up its sleeve, and the torque hit much lower in the rev range. More torque created a full 2000 RPM lower in the rev range than the Honda CBR600, meant it was just easier to ride fast. It had more grunt and would pull out of the corners better than any of its competitors. It retained its place in the Yamaha lineup for many years, even after the R6 was released, because it was so good. For every situation except on the track, the Thundercat was just as good as the later R6. It was more capable than most riders would ever be, and a plush seat and a 19-litre tank meant it was just easier to live with. When most sports bikes were heading for the nearest fuel stop, the Thundercat would thunder on, and the comfortable riding position with such a well-designed fairing meant the cockpit was always a happy place to be. Fully adjustable suspension meant it could be dialed in for track use, but it was equally at home on highways. But its spiritual home was the fast twisty curves. When it comes to versatile sports touring motorcycles, the Yamaha YZF600R Thundercat was damn near perfect. It had a fast, reliable engine, good suspension, great brakes, and the ability to carry 2 people plus kit for a 2-week holiday. In my opinion, at the time, its only real competition was the legendary Honda VFR 750, which comes up in a few of my videos. It really was that good, but for whatever reason, it never really got the acclaim it should have. Maybe it was the name that connected it to a kid's cartoon that made people take it less seriously than its competitors. Who knows? Once the R6 arrived, it was always overshadowed in the press by its more track-focused brother. But on the roads, the Thundercat was just nicer to ride. And that's coming from someone who thinks in many ways that the Yamaha R6 is the best 600cc sports bike ever built. So that gives you a good idea of how good I think this bike really was. Our next bike takes us into the dirt, and for a certain group of the riders of the world, the good old DR350 will never be forgotten. The antics of Austin Vince and the Mondo Enduro crew were legendary among the early days of adventure riding, as we call it now. Without their idea, there would unlikely have been a long way up or down, and for those of you that don't know, they did it first and without assistance, and it's a scream to watch, so go and check it out. The DR350 doesn't go fast, will never be quickest around a corner, and it won't impress most of the guys at the local coffee shop, but they are unstoppable. Bearings, seals, nuts and bolts are all pretty standard sizes, so you can pick them up anywhere, and few bikes make it so easy to keep them going. Wherever you are in the world, there will be someone capable of fixing a DR350, even if you can't. They will run on terrible fuel through deserts, dust, rocks and rivers and still come back for more. The simple air-cooled single-cylinder lump is reliable and easy to fix. They are as strong and dependable as a donkey, and just a bit faster. They will never break any records, but with minimal maintenance, a teaspoon of oil and a simple toolkit, They will put up with forgetfulness and just keep chugging along regardless of what you throw at them. Often overshadowed by their bigger brother, the now fabled dirt pig, the 350 was just lighter and easier to pick up than the 650. The air-cooled 350cc lump had a strong bottom end too, so they would just tractor you up the silliest climbs and carry a ton of luggage. They just did it slower. They gave you the chance to watch the scenery as that familiar chug just pushed you along to the next destination, wherever that might be. For that, the DR350 is hard to beat. They just made things very easy for the average rider. Next, we have the Yamaha TRX850. I featured its older brother, the TDM, in the first of the bomb-proof bikes videos linked above. The TDM was a great bike, but it was a big old beast and heavy. Yamaha decided to wrap the newly updated 270-degree crank version of the Genesis twin engine in a lightweight trellis frame like the Ducatis, and so the TRX850 was born. The lightweight chassis made the TRX into a scalpel of a bike, with fast but stable handling, and it became another classic example of how Yamaha have created some bikes that do just perform better than all the specs might seem to predict. It handled like a 600 Supersport bike, but had more grunt. It might not have had the top end of the superbikes, but they had to catch you before the end of the straight, because the TRX could take off out of corners like a raging rhino. If ever a bike was ahead of its time, that bike was the MZ Mastiff. The Mastiff sat between the MZ Scorpion I featured in the Cult Motorcycles video and its more off-road focused brother, the Bagheera. This was a lightweight bike that kept the road performance of the Scorpion and added the off-road durability people have been crying out for ever since. The 660 Minarelli engine that Yamaha made famous in the Tenere was strong and reliable. It had bags of bottom end, but it revved well for a big single. It was a more reliable and refined engine than many big singles too, so it won on many counts. A service plastics, a WP rear shock, Marzocchi forks, braided hoses and big twin headlamps that actually worked really well set this apart from most bikes of the day. It was small enough to make it light and nimble, but big enough to take two people and strong enough to pull them. It was just put together really well, and as tough as old boots. Geometry was sharp but forgiving, and the chassis would hold ridiculous lean angles, helped of course by the fantastic ground clearance. I would argue that as an all-purpose adventure sport motorcycle, the Mastiff was as good as anything ever made, but the company was on its knees, and they just didn't have the distribution or marketing clout of the big four Japanese companies. So the Mastiff, along with the Scorpion, Bagheera and their big brother the 1000S, faded into history with the bankruptcy of the company. Sorry for ending on a bit of a sad note, but I guess that's how it sometimes is. I hope you enjoyed the video and can take the time to look around the channel to watch some of the others you'll find there. If you got this far and haven't already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps us a lot, and it'll mean you get to find out first when our regular updates, news, views and other videos go out. Please share the video with anyone you think will be interested too if you could. It all helps kick the YouTube algorithm into gear and gets the channel out there to new potential viewers. As it's that festive time of year, you can find plenty of biker related gifts on the website or on the Redbubble shop linked in the description below too. We have the best biker t-shirts, phone cases, stickers, wall art, neck tubes and other merchandise shipped worldwide, so it's always worth a look and helps keep the channel truly independent. There are more exciting motorcycle adventures and other stories from the shed and beyond on the website, so why not grab a cuppa and take a look around. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching. I hope the roads aren't too icy where you are and the storms have died down. And always remember, keep your spanners close and your keys even closer. Ride free, everyone!